there. This is Sandy Earle, and I am bringing you another thing to do, which I know probably doesn't make you very happy, but I am hopeful that this will help you on your journey to becoming the best pharmacist that you can be, and making sure that you're utilizing all of the things that we have available for you to develop into the best pharmacist that you can be. So we will be asking you to do a self-assessment as part of the registration process starting this fall of 2016. So you will be asked to assess yourself on 8 attributes each semester. I'll go over what those are in a minute. There are actually 15 attributes that we have decided at the University of Findlay are things that we feel like you should be working on either acquiring and or strengthening while you're working at becoming a pharmacist during your time here. So these are the same attributes that the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy have recommended. They're called the CAPE Educational Outcomes. CAPE stands for Center for the Advancement of Pharmacy Education. And you can read more if you click on this source. I'll give you these slides so you can click right on the source. Or you can always Google CAPE Pharmacy Outcomes, excuse me, and this document should come up and you will be able to read more in depth about what each of these attributes are actually defined as being. For each of these attributes, you're going to need to provide proof points that support your self-assessment. So you can't just say, "Ooh, I'm great at everything," because none of us is great at everything. But you should honestly think about what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. You do have strengths, you do have weaknesses, and that's okay. That's how we all are. So we want to make sure you're utilizing your strengths to and build on those. You shouldn't ignore your strengths. Your strengths are probably what's going to decide in some part what you end up doing with your career. And your weaknesses will help with that as well. We all have weaknesses, so we want you to do what you can to shore up your weaknesses and also to strengthen your strengths while you're here. So you're going to need to provide proof points in each area. You'll rank yourself on these 15 standards. In the spring, this semester, you're going to do learner, caregiver, manager, promoter, provider, problem solver, educator, and advocate. And in the spring, you'll do learner again, and then 7 different attributes. So in all, you're going to be evaluating yourself on 15 attributes, learner being probably obvious what it is. But notice we don't emphasize just grades. It's lots of other attributes, lots of soft skills that we're looking at for development other than just your grades. So maybe you're not that great at taking tests and getting the best 4-point grades, but maybe you're an excellent leader, you're an excellent communicator, an excellent professional. We want to make sure that you are rewarded for that and that you recognize that and continue to develop that. So for each of these different descriptions, we want you to provide proof points for how you're doing in those areas. So this is one of the reasons we're using ExamSoft. I know many of you hate ExamSoft, and I understand your irritation with it. But what we've done is for each question you've been given and for each rubric dimension that we use ExamSoft for, we can then tie that back to what we call categories or some sort of attribute. So depending on the question, for example, if you're doing a problem in pharmacokinetics, you may be doing problem solving. You may be giving a patient instructions. That may be education. You may be, well, I don't know. I don't want to go into tons of lists, but each question that we ask you has been tagged with these CAPE standards. Some of the CAPE standards will have lots of questions or rubrics tied to them. Some will have very few. So we'll go over that in a minute. You also, if you're a P5, you have PCOA results that you can report. We'd like you to report your national percentile in the PCOA and also your current overall GPA. So those are proof points for learner, aren't they? There may be other things for learner other than just those things that support you as a good learner. Maybe you're in Rho Chi, or maybe you're a TA, or maybe you're in Phi Kappa Phi, or some other co-curricular or thing that you do that has recognized you as being a good learner. Co-curriculars are things that go alongside the curriculum, outside the classroom, that support your learning. So there's things like being in professional organizations, being a leader of a professional organization that would be a co-curricular that you may want to tie to a CAPE standard like leadership or like professionalism, for example. There are also extracurriculars. Extracurriculars are things that are not necessarily tied to the curriculum, but also will improve one of these attributes. So maybe working on Habitat for Humanity, for example. That is not tied to our curriculum, but it may make you a better includer or a better caregiver. So you should list those under those attributes. And then finally, electives that you've chosen may also show that you have strengths in different areas. So you will get from us a printout, and this from ExamSoft. So this is your ExamSoft data. And for each attribute, so you have a learner of pharmaceutical sciences. So anything to do with kinetics is probably going to be considered pharmaceutical sciences, medicinal chemistry, pharmacology. So any question you're asked in that area, what it will do is take all of those questions and give you a percentage right that you got. So this person would have gotten 81% of their Pharm Sci questions correct. Any question that is tied to learner, social, behavioral, administrative would have been 78%, and on and on. So these three are all learners, and we ask for that in the report. And then here's your caregiver questions, your manager questions, your promoter, on and on. Now what we'd like you to do is report this percentage that you have. Now you might have a 0. That isn't because you got a 0 on the questions. That's because there may have been no questions in that category. So be really careful about the category. It may just have very few questions. You may also have 100%, but maybe there was only one question in that section. So you'll use this as proof points in your report. Now, co-curricular, I gave you some examples of co-curricular activities. What we've done is started to create a spreadsheet with all of our required and elective co-curricular. These are all things that the P5s do. So there's a sheet for P5s, P4s, and P3s. And this is not in any way complete nor necessarily absolutely correct. This is some people's guess. So if there's things that are not on here that you feel like should be, go ahead and report it on your report. This is not the be-all and the end-all. So for example, if you're a TA, you would be considered, this would be an educator point for you. If you're in a student organization, you're a problem solver. You also probably would be a professional, but we won't note that until next semester. So here's some examples that might help you in determining some co-curricular things that you're involved with, or extracurricular things too, that you could give as proof points as far as your strength in a particular area, CAPE standard. Also, there may be some electives. So we're just starting to fill this out, but I've asked the professors to fill this out. So for each of the electives, which of these would be covered as far as a portion of the course? So if you are taking these electives, and if you're weak in an area, you may think about taking one of the electives that would strengthen that area. So this is a page of what you're going to be filling out. The first questions are like your name and your year and your advisor, etc. And then it'll say, please rate yourself on being a learner. So this, and then it'll give the definition of a learner, which I think you probably know. So you can either choose that you're an exceptional learner, this is a strength of mine, I am a good learner, I'm at or above average in this area, or at times I struggle at being a good learner, I need to improve in this area, or being a good learner is a weakness of mine, I need help to improve in this area. So those are the 4 choices you're going to have for each of the dimensions. So you need to choose one which will be informed by the proof points, which will be below. So for each of them, there's going to be your ExamSoft data and then any co-curricular or other activities that you're doing that would support the strength in that area. So, and for learner, there's a few more like your GPA, etc. So you go through all of them, and so here's the last one, my ExamSoft data on being an advocate. So you just put in whatever the number is there, 79%. Other proof points on assessment as an advocate. I don't know, you do my first patient. And then at the very end, this is your very last one that we're going to ask you to evaluate. So please review all the components of your self-assessment. After careful contemplation, list the action that you will take to strengthen weaknesses, continue to challenge yourself, and take advantage of your strengths. Also include how this will affect what classes you'll take. So this is a summary of what you've gotten out of this and what you plan to do about it. You then submit this to your, it'll be automatically submitted through Google Docs once you hit submit. So what do you need to do? You need to gather your supportive proof points, which will be your GPA, ExamSoft data if you need it. I will give you that, your PCOA data, and again, I will give you that if you took it. And then you need to come up with your list of your co-curricular and extracurricular things that would support these things. You need to list your proof points for each and then rank yourself based upon that data and help to identify then at the end your strengths and weaknesses, and then formulate a plan that you would put into in that last question there. So then you will need to do this is important, prior to scheduling. You will not be able to schedule unless this is turned into your advisor. Again, you can do it online. You don't have to physically give it to them. Then you need to make a date to review this information with your advisor. So some hints. Utilize your ExamSoft data. Know that you may or may not have sufficient data in each area to give you a good picture of how you are doing. Compare this to average data, which I will give you as well. The average data includes all students, not just those at your level. If you have very few questions in a category, your rating may be either falsely high or falsely low due to that low sample size. You know about that. The co-curricular list is just examples. It's not complete and it's not necessarily accurate. So use your judgment here. Maybe you're doing something we haven't listed. Please list it. We're going to try to grow that list and try to be complete. The list of available pharmacy electives is just a start. So you can go to those pharmacy electives as a plan to improve maybe some of your weaknesses or strengthen your strengths. You can maybe plan to join a student organization or join one of the co-curricular electives. But maybe you would benefit from taking a class outside of pharmacy that's included our accepted pharmacy elective list, like a business class or a foreign language class. So the electives can be found here at this site. That's it. So I'll send you all this stuff, and I appreciate your attention, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.